Hey guys, welcome to Guap VT, a spin on Money TV, where the mission is to inspire you to own the keys to the bank. In this episode, can we talk about 3 easy steps you can take to increase your credit score fast? See, the problem with credit, or at least the challenge with credit that I see, if you're like me, you probably graduated high school, maybe even college, without a full understanding of what credit is and how to use it. Because if you don't know how to use a thing, more than likely you are bound to use it in a way that isn't very wise. And so a lot of people find themselves in heaps of debt that they're not able to control because of the fact they didn't know how they got there anyway. So I want to talk to you today about 3 steps you can take, very easy, to begin to boost your credit score. Let me give you a little backstory on me. I graduated from high school at the ripe old age of 20, not because I couldn't learn. To be honest, I just wasn't interested. And the things that the teachers taught about in school were not like any of the conversations that I heard in my community or in my household, where they were talking about bills and keeping the lights on and grocery shopping. That's the conversations, or those are the conversations I heard. They piqued my interest. And even at that time, I said, in school, something is missing here. So I did eventually graduate by the skin of my teeth, as the saying goes. But the interesting thing that happened was a little unfortunate but fortunate. In my family, when you graduate from school, high school, at that time, this is some years ago, you hit the workforce. Many of us hit the workforce before graduating from high school. But so I found myself in that same position post graduation. And after graduating, my brother and me had caught up, my younger brother caught up with me, and we graduated on the same day. But very soon after, we were in the market for our first apartment. So we get the apartment, and now it's time to furnish it. But all of our money had been spent on the first month's rent and the security deposit. So we had little money left. We found ourselves at a furniture store, actually a couple furniture stores, and eventually we found a sofa set that was the one. And when we saw this set, we didn't know how much it cost. We liked it. Like young people, you just want it. You don't know what it's going to cost you out of pocket. But we knew our financial situation, and it wasn't the greatest. And I believe that the salesperson picked up on that as well. So he approaches and says, well, you can get this on credit. I was completely dumbfounded because I didn't know what credit was. And then from there, he goes on to say, well, if you don't have credit, you can get a cosigner. I didn't know what a cosigner was. I doubt that it has anything to do with the fact that I graduated from high school at 20, because I believe people who graduate on time or were graduating on time, they wouldn't have known what those things were either, unless someone explained it to them in their home or in their community. But that's what was missing in my case. So fast forward, my uncle, my aunt, they gracious enough, they co-signed for the furniture, but I still don't understand what that transaction means. I just knew that they said, well, you can pay us back when you get paid. You pay us back in increments and we'll pay off the loan. They eventually paid the loan off in full in advance. So we didn't have to make but a few payments back to them. I think maybe 3 payments. But to get to my point, I then started asking questions, and but I wasn't asking them to the right people, because no one, again, in my community knew what credit was. So driving home one day, my uncle, he was driving me home, and he says, well, you only need one credit card to build your credit. And then he went on to say, well, you make your payments in full, you don't spend more than you can afford to pay back, and always pay above the minimum payment if you cannot pay the balance off in full. But you should be paying the balance off in full every month to avoid getting in any trouble. So I did all of those things when I got my first credit card, but I still really didn't understand what credit was. But the good thing is, he gave me some foundation to make payments on time, keep balances low, things like that impact your credit score. So here are some things that you can do, after me giving you a little lengthy backstory, that you can do right now to increase your credit score wherever it may be. The first thing is, you want to dispute inaccuracies on your credit report. There is a statistic that states that 80% plus of credit reports have errors on them. So you can do this repair procedures, or these repair steps yourself. You do not have to go through a credit reporting company. You can write your letters. You can send those letters off. You can, first step is you can look at your credit report and decide or determine which items need to be disputed, and you can take those steps, because if you can get items removed from your credit report that are inaccurate or that are there that are unverifiable, that will boost your credit score. So that's step number one. Follow the steps of repairing your own credit, removing inaccuracies, removing errors. You're going to get a boost in your credit score right there. The second thing that I would recommend you do is, if you already have credit and credit cards, the form of credit cards, personal loans, home loans, whatever type of trade lines you have, you want to make every payment on time, because payment history accounts for 35% of your credit score. 35%, that's across every line of credit you have. So it's crucially important that you make every payment on time. To help you with this, I personally recommend that you set up auto payment. All the accounts that you pay, set them up on auto payment, and that will avoid you ever missing a payment. Things happen. I've missed a payment before, and fortunately I was able to get the late payment removed from my credit report. But if you make your payments on time, you will not have to worry about that. So set up auto payment. Put calendar reminders somewhere where you can see them often. You just don't want to make payments or miss payments and lose points because you forgot, right? So setting up auto payment will avoid that. The next thing that I recommend is that you become an authorized user. This is going to take some work, because what an authorized user means is that you are piggybacking off of someone else's credit to get their age of credit, to get their credit history onto your credit report. So it's called piggybacking. Now, in order to do that, you would want to be able to have some sort of relationship, I would say with a family member or friend, someone that can help you to boost your credit score by adding you, and you can explain to them that you do not need to actually have the credit card at all. And that's a misconception. People think that if I add someone onto my credit report or to my credit card, they're going to have my credit card, but they don't need your credit card at all. You will not need the credit card. All you're doing is having your name added, and once your name is registered and once your name shows up as being an authorized user on that credit card, you're going to see a boost in your credit score. That's easy. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing that the primary has to do other than add you. They can do that through the app, or they can do that by going to or calling customer care, customer service. Really simple things to do. So again, just as a recap, things you can do fast, 3 steps. 1, dispute errors on your credit report. There are over 80%, according to a statistic, of credit reports have errors. So pull your credit report, review it. You see errors on there, you see delinquencies that are inaccurate, dispute them. Another thing you can do is you want to make your payments on time for everything that's in your name. You want to pay on time. You want to pay before the due date, in fact, to avoid ever being late and setting up auto payment. And another thing you can do, last step you can do, is you can become an authorized user, or what they call piggyback onto someone else's credit card or their credit account, one that is in good standing, one that has a pretty lengthy history, and one that the person is responsible with. So those are 3 steps you can take to boost your credit score fast without a whole lot of effort. But if you've enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. I make videos on money, relationships, and mindset, because where the mind goes, so goes the money. And until I see you on the next episode, remember to own your mind, own your money, and own the keys to the bank.